In this video, we are going to be graphing linear inequalities in the plane, and these are going to be in standard form. You recall that standard form of an equation, of a linear equation, is ax plus by equals c. So what we're going to do on this one is change it from standard form to slope-intercept form, which is y is equal to mx plus b. Okay, so we've got this negative x minus 2y is greater than 2. Okay, so we want to get y by itself. So the first thing I need to do is get rid of this negative x. I can do that by just adding an x. I'll put it right underneath that x. If you subtract and add the same thing, they cancel, but we also have to add an x over here. I can't combine it with the 2, so there's just going to be a 2 and an x on that other side. So that's negative 2y is greater than, and we'll say x plus 2. Okay, now I need to get rid of that negative 2, so I'm going to divide both sides by a negative 2. I'll divide each term by that. And also, since I am dividing by a negative number and we do have an inequality, this inequality is going to have to flip the other direction. Okay, so this will cancel here and we'll still have y, but now instead of saying greater than, it's going to say less than. Okay, and this one, x divided by negative 2, that's the same thing as negative 1/2 x. Okay, so we just put the negative 1/2 out front so we can have the slope. And then 2 divided by negative 2 is negative 1. All right, so that means that we have a slope, since we have it in y equals mx plus b form, or slope-intercept form, we have a slope that's equal to negative 1 over 2, or we could write it as 1 over negative 2. And we have a y-intercept of negative 1. Okay, so I'm going to go to negative 1 on the y-axis and plot a point. There we go. Okay, and then I'm going to use a slope, both of these slopes, in fact, to get some other points. Okay, so this one says go down 1, right 2. So go down 1, right 2, put a point, and keep doing that. Down 1, right 2. Here we go. And I could also go up 1, left 2. So that would be here, up 1, left 2, like this. Okay, so there we go. I use the slope. And now we have to decide if this is a solid line or a dotted line. Since there's no line underneath here, then this is going to be a dotted line. Okay, so here we go. There's the dotted line. Now we're going to test to see which side needs to be shaded. So I'm going to test 0, 0. It's typically the easiest thing to test, unless, of course, the line goes through 0, 0, then you can't use it. But for this, we can test this, and if it turns out true, we'll shade this side. If it turns out false, we'll shade the opposite side. So we're going to test 0, 0. We're going to plug in 0 in place of x and y and see if it's true. So we've got this equation, negative x minus 2y. So we've got negative, there's my 0 for x, minus 2 times 0 for y is greater than 2. Okay, both of these terms are 0, right? So it would be 0 is greater than 2. Is that true or false? Well, of course, that's false. Okay, 0 is not greater than 2. Since that's the case, I know that this side is false because I plugged a number in on this side of the line and it gave me a false statement. So instead of shading this side, I'm going to shade the opposite side. So there's my shade right there. Okay, let's do another one. So we've got x minus 4y is less than 4. Okay, so let's get that over here. Minus 4y is less than 4. I want to solve this for y. So I'm going to subtract an x from both sides. So that will give me negative 4y is less than, I'm going to put the negative x first because I want it in mx plus b form. So plus 4. And then I'm going to divide both sides by that negative 4. All three terms get divided. Okay, and remember that since we're dividing by a negative number, the inequality switches directions. So instead of y is less than, it's going to be y greater than. Here we got a negative divided by a negative, so they cancel out. And then the x over 4 can be written as 1/4 times x. These are the same things. Negative's gone, and then the 4 on bottom became a 1/4 out front. So this will be our slope. And then 4 divided by negative 4 is negative 1. So our y-intercept is still negative 1. So slope is equal to 1 over 4, or we could write it as negative 1 over negative 4. And y-intercept is negative 1. Okay, so let's go to negative 1 on the y-axis. That's right here. Plot a point. And then let's use the slope. Up 1, right 4, up 1, right 4. So up 1, right 4, up 1, right 4, up 1, right 4. There we go. Could also use down 1, left 4. So down 1, left 4, down 1, left 4, and down 1, left 4. Okay. Now, will we have a solid or a dotted line? Well, since there's no line, since it's this, then it's going to be a dotted line. If it was this, it would be a solid line. Okay, so this is the one we're going to use. So I'll put a dotted line there. Okay, and now let's test 0, 0. Test 0, 0 and see if it works. If I plug in 0, 0 and we get a true statement, then we shade this side. If I get a false statement, we shade the opposite side. Okay, so go back to the original, this one right here. 0 in for x minus 4 instead of y, I also write a 0, is less than 4. These two are both 0, so 0 is less than 4. Is that true or false? Well, 0 is less than 4. That's true. And since that's true, I'm going to shade the same side that this was on. It was on this top side. So this is my shaded region. Okay, let's look at a couple more. Okay, on this one, I've got 3x minus 2y is greater than or equal to 8. Okay, write that down. I want to solve for y, so I got to get rid of this 3x. I can do that by subtracting it. Okay, so that will give me negative 2y is greater than or equal to negative 3x plus 8. Okay, now I need to divide by the negative 2 to get the y by itself. Divide by negative 2, divide by negative 2. Remember, I'm dividing by a negative number. Once again, the inequality goes the other direction. So this becomes y is less than or equal to, because I divided by a negative. Let's see, this is 3 over 2. The negatives will cancel out, so 3 over 2x. And then 8 divided by negative 2 is negative 4. Okay, so my slope is 3 over 2, which can also be written as negative 3 over negative 2. And my y-intercept is negative 4. So I go to negative 4 on the y-axis. I plot a point. There it is. Okay, and then I use the slope. So let's use the 3 over 2 first. So up 3, 1, 2, 3 over 2, 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 2, 3 over 2. That's enough. And then let's use the negative 3 over 2 to go down 3 over 2, down 3 over 2. Okay, so that's enough. Now, will it be a solid or a dotted line? Well, we have a line underneath it. We have an equal sign here, so that means we will have a solid line. So here is the line. Solid line because of this. So that's what that gives you. Okay, now I need to test a point. I'm going to test 0, 0 to see if it's true. So I'm going to plug in 0 and 0 in place of these two and see if it's true. So 3 times 0 minus 2 times 0 is greater than or equal to 8. Okay, so both of these are 0, so 0 is greater than or equal to 8. Is that true or false? False. That is false. Okay, so this, I plugged this point in and it said, nope, that doesn't work. So that means this entire side is not the side we want. We want the other side, since this was false. So we will shade this side. Okay, one last problem. We've got negative x minus 2y is less than or equal to negative 4. Okay, so I want to subtract, not subtract, it's already subtracting. So I actually need to add the x to get rid of it. Add the x here. So that gives me negative 2y is less than or equal to x minus 4. I got to get rid of that negative 2 that's in front of the y, so I divide everything by negative 2. Okay, so that gives me y is less than or equal to, okay, there's a negative, so the whole thing will be negative, so it will be negative 1/2 x. And then negative 4 divided by negative 2 is positive 2. Okay, so we have a slope of -1 over +2, or you could write it as +1 over -2. And our y-intercept, our starting point, will be 2. Okay, so let's go to 2 on the y-axis. There it is. Okay, and then I'll use my slope. Down 1, right 2. Down 1, right 2. Like this. Down 1, right 2. And then I could use up 1, left 2. So here, 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 and here. Okay, so I just use the slope over and over and over again to get all those points. And now since I have a line underneath that's an equal sign, I am going to put a solid line here instead of a dotted line. So here we go. Okay, so there's a solid line. Okay, now do I shade above it or do I shade below it? Okay, I need to test a point. So I will test 0, 0. Test this point right here. So test 0, 0. And I'm using this, remember, so negative, instead of -x, it's -0. Minus 2 times, instead of y, that's another 0, is less than or equal to -4. Okay, all this stuff over here is just 0, so 0 is less than or equal to -4. Is that true or false? That is false. 0 is not less than -4. Okay, so I put this point in right here at 0, 0, and it said false. So none of this stuff gets shaded. So I'm going to instead shade the opposite side. And that's it.